Hi, I'm Andrew Watson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's November 24th, 2013, and this week we're going to discuss back-to-back pentatonics. Now, this question was sent in from William. He's in Athens, Ohio, and he wrote in with this email. I've just started learning some pentatonic scale patterns on guitar, and I've noticed that there seems to be a lot of notes back-to-back. What I mean is there's pretty much entire scale layouts of the same notes backed up against patterns I've studied. Could you make a quick lesson showing what some of the ways are to actually use this concept? Thanks a lot for all you do, from William in Athens, Ohio, USA. Well, hey, thanks for writing in, William. You know, this whole back-to-back scale tone idea that you first spotted here with the pentatonic shapes are actually more of a fingerboard concept where our notes are recurring from one playing region on the neck over to the next immediate region. Now, to fully comprehend this, as well as several other fingerboard application ideas, I'd suggest checking out my music theory video lesson titled System for Fingerboard Association. That video will dig into the details of how the fingerboard operates. But now in this lesson, I'll not only be showing a few back-to-back pentatonic layouts, but I'll also demonstrate a couple of guitar licks showcasing a few examples of how they can be applied as well. So let's hit the guitar fingerboard and check out some back-to-back pentatonics. Well, pentatonic scales, or really any kind of scale or arpeggio, can of course be found across the entire guitar fingerboard. But when we study the shapes, we tend to work within a position and also within a fretting range. And this is great for ease of fingering. It's good for the simplicity of memorizing the actual geometrical pattern on the neck, as well as when you start learning your notes and your scale degrees. It's very good for that. However, it's not really so fantastic when it comes to actually using the scale. In fact, in most of the songs that you'll start learning some licks from, they'll be in small clusters, small chunks. Just little pieces of the scale will be used to create the melodic ideas instead of, playing entire runs. I mean, you may get something like that, but I mean, most of the time your licks are just small. So the actual use of the scale is almost better off in the beginning when we start approaching the scale from a smaller perspective. So let's begin here with a couple of very small minor pentatonic shapes in the key of A minor. Here's the first example. It's in 7th position, built off the 4th guitar string. This is a 1-octave run of A minor pentatonic. And here's the same set of notes played down a whole step with all the same notes backed up against the first shape. You can hear them, they're the same notes. Here's the 7th position set once again. And here's the 5th position set. They're essentially just unison notes of one another. All right, now let's have some fun with this concept. Since the notes are all the same between these patterns, and they're all backed up against one another, we can construct any number of good melodic ideas by simply playing off of notes between the two locations. And most interestingly, we can take full advantage of the unique tonal differences of how many of the exact same notes sound slightly different when played upon the different length and diameter of guitar strings. Obviously, for instance, this E on the 2nd string 5th fret sounds slightly brighter than the E that we would play on the 3rd string 9th fret. Gets a little warmer sounding. The length of the string is shorter and the diameter of the string is thicker. So that's what's causing that tonal difference. And I'm just going to go through a guitar lick here of how this can sound by playing the guitar lick with notes derived from these back-to-back A minor pentatonic patterns. So here we go. Here's the lick. Here it is one more time. As you can tell from the sound of this line, it barely comes across like it shifts position. In fact, if you couldn't see my hand and you were just listening to this as an audio recording, you may not even really be thinking that I'd be shifting position with this line. But yet our E note from its original 9th fret 3rd string location at the first measure of the lick takes on a very different tonal color when you play it again here at the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So when you're pulling notes from between positions like this, it's really cool. It creates a really smooth, connected sounding idea, but yet it has tonal variation to it. And you can even do more dramatic concepts like the next idea that I have for you using this whole back-to-back pentatonic approach. So just to change things up a little, we're going to flip keys here. We're going to go to the key of D major. We're going to use D major pentatonic. We'll be up here high off the D at 12th fret, 4th string. So here's our first fingerboard location for now D major pentatonic. That's all the notes in the location, ascending and descending. Here it is one more time for you. And now here's the back-to-back D major pentatonic that we'll use as a secondary shape. We're going to take these notes and we're just going to drift them over this way. And we're going to have this pentatonic as a secondary shape to relate against that first pattern. So here's the secondary shape. One more time. And that shape is relating against that first one. Now in the melodic idea, I wanted to really show how the shared notes between the back-to-back positions here can be played against one another to generate a very interesting sound. You'll probably get the almost immediate impression from this lick that it sounds a lot like something Hendrix would come up with. So here we go, check this lick out. Here it is one more time. So the idea here is we're going across the lick, coming into that F sharp, using them against one another, and then we have the B coming in by way of this A note from 2nd string, 10th fret. And we're playing that 7th fret B at the 1st guitar string, 7th fret there, against one another. So it creates a really interesting unison effect. Now the really obvious sound that jumps out of this lick are those unison notes that get played against one another in the two different string sets there. So if you've never fooled around with building guitar licks using unison notes, using the back-to-back pentatonic idea or scale idea is a great way to push that through. And you know, it also, this back-to-back idea is going to give you a lot of interesting ideas, and it can come out of scales and even arpeggios applied around this philosophy. So I definitely suggest that you mess around with this concept as soon as possible. Well, there's no doubt that scales and the overall study of the guitar fingerboard are huge topics and ones that are extremely important. I mean, could you imagine how many hours guys like Paul Gilbert or Joe Satriani or Jeff Beck or Eddie Van Halen, imagine the hours they've spent studying the guitar fingerboard and the layout of scales and arpeggios and harmonies. It's crazy to think just how much work all those famous players have done to learn the neck. But the payoff is obviously huge. Even a simple idea of learning this one, of back-to-back patterns, can give us loads of new and interesting melodic ideas. So spend some serious time applying melody, not just using this back-to-back concept, but in all kinds of ways with your scales and arpeggios. The payoff in the long run will be well worth the time that you invest. Anyway, speaking of time, that's about all the time I have for today. As always, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great week, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.